Three fruits backed by clinical research can protect your aging eyes and help you sleep better at the same time, and one of them outperformed the very supplements most eye doctors recommend. No, it is not carrots. I know we all grew up hearing that one. Turns out our parents were oversimplifying things, which honestly should not surprise any of us at this point. Today, we are walking through the real science behind each fruit. You will learn which nutrients matter most for aging eyes, why the quality of your sleep directly shapes your vision, and which fruits deliver both benefits in a single bedtime serving. And before anyone types it in the comments, the answer is not bananas either, even though half the internet seems to think bananas cure everything short of a bad haircut. Now, before we jump in, I want to be upfront about something because I respect your intelligence. Nobody has run a single study testing the full chain, eating a specific fruit before bed to simultaneously improve sleep and protect eyes. That one study does not exist yet. What we do have are two strong bodies of research. One shows certain fruits improve sleep. The other shows those same nutrients protect the retina. The biology connecting them is well established. So we are going to lay each piece of evidence side by side, and by the end, you will see the full picture. Think of it like assembling furniture, except the instructions actually make sense and nothing is left over at the end. And if you are over 60, this hits especially close to home. Between 40 and 50% of adults past 60 struggle with sleep. I'm sure some of you are watching this at 3 in the morning right now, so welcome. You are in the right place. At the same time, close to 20 million Americans live with some form of age-related macular degeneration, more than 24 million deal with cataracts, and over 4 million carry a glaucoma diagnosis. These are not separate problems sitting in separate waiting rooms. As you will see in a few minutes, they are deeply connected. Let us start with the fruit that caught researchers completely off guard. And no, it is not something you need a special trip to a health food store to find. Section 1. The goji berry discovery. If I asked you to name the single best food source of zeaxanthin on the planet, most people would guess spinach or maybe eggs. Almost nobody guesses a tiny dried red berry from Central Asia. 1 ounce of goji berries delivers roughly 28.8 milligrams of zeaxanthin, and it arrives in a form called zeaxanthin dipalmitate, which your body absorbs unusually well. Zeaxanthin is one of 2 carotenoid pigments that form the macular pigment, that thin protective layer sitting right over the center of your retina. Think of it as nature's built-in blue light filter. Along with lutein, it absorbs harmful wavelengths and neutralizes oxidative damage. As we get older, those pigment levels drop, and that decline tracks closely with macular degeneration. Basically, your retina is slowly losing its sunglasses, which is a problem when you still need your eyes. Researchers at the University of California, Davis ran a randomized controlled trial published in the journal Nutrients in 2021. 27 healthy adults between 45 and 65 joined the study, and the team split them into 2 groups. One group ate 28 grams of goji berries, roughly a small handful, 5 days a week for 90 days. The other group took a standard lutein and zeaxanthin supplement containing 6 milligrams of lutein and 4 milligrams of zeaxanthin. When the results came back, the goji berry group showed clear increases in macular pigment optical density, which is the measurement ophthalmologists use to assess how well your macula is protected. The supplement group, the one taking the pills most of us would assume work better, showed 0 measurable change. None. The research team concluded that regular intake of goji berries in a healthy middle-aged population increases macular pigment and may help prevent or delay the development of age-related macular degeneration. That is a direct quote from the paper. A second trial, published in 2018 in the International Journal of Ophthalmology, took things a step further by testing people who already had early macular degeneration. 114 patients with an average age of about 69 and a half were randomized to eat 25 grams of goji berries daily for 90 days or to continue their normal diet. Serum zeaxanthin tripled in the goji group, jumping from 0.029 to 0.101 micromoles per milliliter, and macular pigment climbed from 0.731 to 0.877 density units. Both changes were statistically strong. Both studies were relatively small, and nobody should pretend otherwise. A larger follow-up trial at UC Davis is currently recruiting adults aged 65 to 95 with early macular changes, and that one will run for 6 months instead of 3. What makes goji berries especially interesting for our conversation tonight, pun intended, is that they also carry unusually high levels of melatonin. Some analyses have measured around 530 nanograms per gram. That puts goji berries near the top among fruits for a hormone most people only associate with supplement capsules. So with one small handful, you get a concentrated dose of the nutrient your macula craves most, paired with a natural source of the hormone that tells your brain it is time to sleep. Section 2. The tart cherry sleep connection. If goji berries own the eye health crown, Montmorency tart cherries hold the best clinical track record for sleep among fruits. And the way they work surprised even the researchers studying them. The standout trial appeared in the American Journal of Therapeutics in 2018. A team at Louisiana State University and the Pennington Biomedical Research Center designed a placebo-controlled, double-blind crossover study, the kind of design that makes scientists take results seriously. Participants were adults over 50, averaging 68 years old with confirmed insomnia, and they drank 240 milliliters of Montmorency tart cherry juice, about 1 cup twice a day for 2 weeks. Sleep was tracked by polysomnography, the gold standard that monitors brainwaves, breathing, and eye movement through the night. 84 extra minutes of sleep. That is what the cherry juice group gained per night. Sleep efficiency also improved, and a marker of inflammation called prostaglandin E2 dropped. But the truly interesting finding was the mechanism hiding behind those numbers. Tart cherry juice contains a compound called procyanidin B2, and it blocks an enzyme called indoleamine 2,3-dioxygenase, or IDO for short. IDO is the enzyme that breaks down tryptophan, the amino acid your body converts into serotonin and then melatonin. By shutting IDO down, cherry juice keeps more tryptophan circulating in your system, and your brain converts it into melatonin on its own schedule. And this is where it gets clever. The cherry juice itself delivered only about 85 micrograms of melatonin per day. For comparison, the supplement aisle at your pharmacy sells melatonin in doses of 500 micrograms to 5 milligrams, so the juice itself provides a tiny fraction of what you would swallow in a single pill. The sleep improvements did not come from dumping melatonin into your bloodstream. They came from your body being allowed to make more of its own. Your body is doing the work, the cherries just remove the roadblock. 2 earlier trials pointed in the same direction. A 2010 study from the University of Rochester, published in the Journal of Medicinal Food, gave tart cherry juice to 15 adults aged 65 and older with chronic insomnia and found a 62-minute reduction in the time spent awake after initially falling asleep. Then in 2012, a trial from Northumbria University in the United Kingdom, published in the European Journal of Nutrition, showed that tart cherry concentrate boosted total sleep time by 34 minutes in 20 healthy volunteers and raised urinary melatonin metabolite by roughly 17%. Now for the reality check. These were small studies. The Louisiana State trial had only 8 people completed, which is not exactly a stadium full of evidence. A 2025 systematic review in food science and nutrition examined 6 clinical studies and found 5 were positive, but the authors still described the evidence as limited and heterogeneous. A 2024 trial of tart cherry powder in overweight adults found no benefit at all. The Center for Science and the Public Interest also flagged that only a handful of small trials exist, and only 2 of them, both industry-funded, actually enrolled people with real sleep problems. So tart cherry juice looks promising for seniors dealing with insomnia, but calling it a cure would overstate what we know. Think of it as a tool in the drawer, not a guarantee on the shelf. On the eye health side, tart cherries carry anthocyanins and about 1,989 international units of vitamin A per cup, but no one has run a cherry-specific eye disease trial. The eye benefit comes indirectly from improved sleep, and that indirect path turns out to be more powerful than most people realize. Section 3. Why your sleep is damaging your eyes. This section is where the story shifts from interesting to alarming. The relationship between poor sleep and eye disease is not a fringe theory. It is backed by studies enrolling hundreds of thousands of people. A 2022 analysis of the UK Biobank tracked more than 409,000 participants for over 10 years and logged nearly 8,700 glaucoma cases. Frequent daytime sleepiness raised glaucoma risk by 20%. Insomnia added 12%. Both short and long sleep duration pushed the odds up by 8%. If you had told most ophthalmologists 20 years ago that napping too much or sleeping too little could predict who develops glaucoma, they would have looked at you like you suggested carrots cure cataracts. Dr. Michael Boland, a glaucoma specialist at the Wilmer Eye Institute at Johns Hopkins, put it this way: "We already know that doctors should talk with their patients about the importance of healthy sleep for good overall health. With studies like this, we can add that glaucoma may be related to sleep health issues." An even larger 2025 study, also using UK Biobank data, followed over 380,000 participants for 12.5 years and pinpointed 7 hours of sleep per day as the sweet spot for eye health. Sleep durations above or below that number traced U-shaped risk curves for cataracts, primary open-angle glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. Poor sleep quality correlated with higher rates of all 4 major eye diseases studied. Obstructive sleep apnea amplifies everything. The largest meta-analysis on this connection, published in 2023 in the journal Eye by the Nature Publishing Group, pulled together 48 studies covering 4.57 million patients. People with obstructive sleep apnea faced 40% higher adjusted odds of developing glaucoma and a 59% higher hazard over time. For patients over 60, that risk nearly doubled. But the most unsettling numbers came from a 2024 study in ophthalmology retina. After matching 58,700 individuals in each group, researchers found that sleep apnea patients carried roughly 2.5 times the risk of developing non-exudative macular degeneration. Among those who already had early AMD, sleep apnea multiplied the risk of progression to geographic atrophy by 7. Geographic atrophy is the advanced form that causes permanent, irreversible vision loss. A 7-fold increase is not subtle, and this is where it gets hopeful. A Korean cohort study tracking sleep apnea and glaucoma found that patients using CPAP, the machine that keeps airways open during sleep, had dramatically lower glaucoma risk. Treating the sleep problem protected the eyes. So what is actually happening inside the eye while you toss and turn all night? A few things at once. Intraocular pressure, the fluid pressure inside the eye, follows a circadian rhythm and typically rises during the nighttime and early morning hours. Healthy eyes regulate that rhythm well. In advanced glaucoma, the rhythm falls apart and pressure shifts in patterns that correlate with damage to retinal ganglion cells, the nerve cells carrying visual signals to your brain. Your retina also relies heavily on melatonin. About 90% of retinal ganglion cells express MT1 melatonin receptors, and the retina even manufactures its own melatonin locally. That melatonin scavenges damaging free radicals, stabilizes mitochondrial membranes, helps prevent cell death, and dials down inflammation. When sleep quality tanks, melatonin production drops, and the retina loses a layer of chemical protection it was counting on. Sleep deprivation hits the surface of the eye too. Animal studies showed that sleep deprivation decreased tear production, increased corneal defects, and triggered dry eye-like changes. In humans, sleeping 4 hours or less carried a 30% higher risk of dry eye disease. Your eyes literally dry out when you do not sleep enough, which sounds like a metaphor but turns out to be measurably true. Protecting your sleep protects your vision. That is the takeaway, and it is exactly why the fruit you reach for before bed carries more weight than you might expect. Goji berries excel at eye protection. Tart cherries dominate the sleep data. One fruit does a respectable job at both, and it is probably already sitting in your grocery store looking completely unassuming: the green kiwi. Green kiwi fruit packs about 122 micrograms of lutein per 100 grams, which places it among the highest lutein sources in the common fruit category. It also delivers 92.7 milligrams of vitamin C per 100 grams, which is actually more than an orange, a fact that surprises most people. The carotenoids in kiwi sit inside structures called chromoplasts rather than chloroplasts, and that difference may give them better bioavailability than the same nutrients locked inside leafy greens. A disclaimer up front: no large randomized controlled trial has tested kiwi fruit for clinical eye disease outcomes. The eye argument for kiwi rests on its nutrient profile and the well-established role those nutrients play in macular protection. That is not the same as direct clinical proof, and the goji berry trials offer something stronger on that front. Where kiwi earns its own spotlight is sleep. A 2011 study at Taipei Medical University, published in the Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition, enrolled 24 adults between 20 and 55 who struggled with sleep. Each participant ate 2 kiwi fruit 1 hour before bedtime every night for 4 weeks. Sleep onset latency, the time it takes to actually fall asleep, dropped by 35.4%. Time spent awake after falling asleep decreased by 28.9%. Total sleep time rose by 13.4%, and sleep efficiency improved by 5.4%. A 2023 trial from Massey University in New Zealand confirmed that both fresh and dried kiwi fruit raised urinary serotonin metabolite levels. Poor sleepers who ate dried kiwi fruit reported a 24% improvement in how easily they woke up, which is the kind of detail that matters a lot when your alarm goes off at 6 in the morning and your body has other plans. Kiwifruit contains about 5.8 micrograms per gram of serotonin, an unusually high concentration for a fruit. Folate and vitamin C in kiwi also feed the neurotransmitter pathways tied to sleep regulation. One honest caveat: serotonin itself cannot cross the blood-brain barrier, so how kiwi pulls off its sleep trick remains partly a mystery scientists are still working to solve. For seniors looking for one fruit that covers both eye nutrition and sleep support without juggling a shopping list, kiwi fills that role well. It also sits low on the glycemic index, a bonus for anyone watching their blood sugar. Section 5. Should you take supplements instead? I know this question is sitting in many of your minds, so let us deal with it head-on. The gold standard for eye supplementation comes from the AREDS2 trial, funded by the National Eye Institute. Over 4,200 participants enrolled, making it one of the largest eye nutrition studies ever run. The 10-year follow-up, published in 2022 in JAMA Ophthalmology, confirmed that a formula containing 10 milligrams of lutein and 2 milligrams of zeaxanthin, alongside vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, and copper, slowed the progression from intermediate to advanced macular degeneration. Participants who had the lowest dietary intake of lutein and zeaxanthin gained the most from supplementation, a 26% reduction in progression risk. Dr. Emily Chu, director of the Division of Epidemiology and Clinical Application at the National Eye Institute, confirmed that switching the formula from beta-carotene to lutein and zeaxanthin was the right call. What trips people up is thinking these supplements prevent macular degeneration from starting. They do not. AREDS2 is validated only for people who already have intermediate AMD or advanced AMD in one eye. Prevention is a different question, and the answer to that question leans toward food. Dr. Chu has stated that for people who have or are at risk for macular degeneration at any stage, following the Mediterranean diet can lower the rate of disease progression by 25% or more. Dr. Rebecca Taylor, an ophthalmologist quoted by the American Academy of Ophthalmology, put it plainly: in general, most Americans can and should get enough nutrients through their diet without needing to take supplements. The challenge is that most Americans fall far short. Average daily intake of lutein and zeaxanthin in the United States sits between 1 and 2 milligrams, while the AREDS2 supplement provides 12 milligrams. Closing that gap with food alone takes deliberate choices, which is exactly why knowing which fruits pack the highest concentrations matters so much. For perspective, 1 ounce of dried goji berries delivers close to 29 milligrams of zeaxanthin. That single handful exceeds the AREDS2 supplement dose, though the carotenoid ratio differs. You could spend $15 on a bottle of eye supplements, or you could eat a small handful of berries that outperformed those supplements in a head-to-head trial. Not a bad deal. Conclusion: $139 billion. That is the estimated total economic burden of eye disorders and vision loss in the United States. Medicare alone spends over $10 billion each year on macular degeneration, cataracts, diabetic retinopathy, and glaucoma. Per person, vision loss costs an average of nearly $17,000 a year. Those numbers are big and abstract until it happens to you. For seniors, losing vision changes everything from independence to safety to the ability to read a grandchild's face across the dinner table. What we covered today is not a miracle fix, and I would not trust anyone who told you it was. It is a strategy built on published, peer-reviewed evidence. 2 research streams, one linking fruit to better sleep and the other linking fruit to eye protection, joined by biology that involves melatonin, antioxidant defense, and circadian rhythm regulation. 7 hours of sleep appears to be the optimal duration for eye health, based on the largest study to date. Eating the right fruit before bed is one small, practical step toward reaching that number while feeding your retina the specific nutrients it needs. A small handful of goji berries, a cup of tart cherry juice, 2 kiwi fruit an hour before bed. These are not prescriptions from a pharmacy. They are not complicated routines. They are ordinary fruits with an extraordinary amount of science behind them. If this helped you, please subscribe and share it with someone you care about. Your eyes deserve attention before problems start, not after. And your grocery list just got a little more interesting.